favorite time of the week. That awkward moment where we don't know if we're actually going live or not. EP, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, baby.
Okay, good, because you made the joke last week that you couldn't, so I just wanted to make sure that we could. All right, here we go. EP! It rains every day in Florida. 4th of July is now a 22-day weekend. What better way to celebrate the birth of your country than by blowing up a small piece of it? No one really wants to do anything, but we still get mad at people for taking off work. What the hell? And by the way, when you get to hell, say hi to Art Briles for me. Yep, at least one more week of stealing weekend observations bit from Stu Gatz and the Dan Levitard Show with Stu Gatz. Check it out on Meadowlark Media. It's one of the best things that isn't this show out there. Put it on the poll, EP. Is everyone's kaleidoscope a different color? That back row is really bringing it today. The EP is strong in you. What happened there? My name is Matt Stevenson. For some of you that are here, you probably know me from the pm73media, various incarnations, perhaps the Insecurity podcast, or my annoying tweets about the Green Bay Packers and comic books. Or you may know my man to my virtual right, Edward Preston. Wait, actually, no, today he's my virtual, he's the pillar. He is the weight-bearing support of this thing. EP, tell the people who you are.
Who you are. Some people call me the space cowboy.
Oh, he's singing.
People call me the pompous. Hey, who is Maurice, by the way, and who is the pompous? Matt, fun fact for you. Pompous is one who is pompous or splendid. Matt, are you my pomp?
I'm going to go with splendid, but I will also tell you that I have a neighbor named Maurice who is a child. I mean, he's 30. But yeah, he's had to deal with the pompous of love his entire life. All right.
More importantly, let's find out if this guy over here puts splendid in his coffee.
We'll get to this guy over here. Calm down. We've got an order to go in here. We actually write these things down ahead of time, even though it doesn't seem like we do it. Okay. All of that nonsense being said, for today's open, we're going to go with something a little different that I have recently named Reading Google Theater. This is a quote from the Washington Post. The Google engineer who thinks the company's AI has come to life. AI ethicists, try saying that once fast, warned Google not to impersonate humans. Now one of Google's own thinks there's a ghost in the machine. P.S. He's now on administrative leave. Now we'll move to this. This is a quote from WeGotThisCovered.com. Obi-Wan Kenobi fans uneasy about AI-assisted Darth Vader voice. Apparently, the Darth Vader voice from James Earl Jones was generated by an AI machine. And I looked away in time just to not be able to read that very well. But on Twitter, @Blankzilla, shout out to @Blankzilla, offered this. Vader's voice in Obi-Wan being credited to James Earl Jones, but actually being composed of an AI-generated version of his voice from hours of footage with JEJ not actually recording a second of new dialogue is A, utterly horrifying, B, just pure cyberpunk dystopia hell. Yeah, I know. What the hell are we even talking about here? Art Briles? What happened there? Sorry, keep it moving. I really just wanted to use the phrase just pure cyberpunk dystopia hell because that's amazing. What are we talking about, though? We are talking about steak and sizzle, and maybe how much do you need of both? Can you have one without the other? Is one better than the other? Is one better without the other? Which is why today we are stoked to welcome Paul Storm, arguably the greatest name in all of technology, to PM73 Media on LinkedIn Live. Paul Storm is a cybersecurity strategist, trailblazing entrepreneur, founder, investor, a believer in humanity and the greater good. If you don't believe me, check his LinkedIn profile because it says so right there. Founder and CEO at ActiveCloud, co-founder and investor at Cymatic.io. That's 4 minutes of me. Paul, welcome to PM73 Media on LinkedIn Live.
Thank you. I feel like I'm on Hollywood Squares. Great to be here with you both. And the listening audience, thank you so much for dialing in. Hope it's entertaining for you.
Paul, you are dressed for Hollywood Squares. You look dapper today.
I didn't know how to come prepared for this party, and I was always told to be overdressed is the way to go. But yeah, next time I'll come.
That's the job you want, not the job you have.
Matt, what's the over under? What's the over under on Paul having a pocket watch in one of his?
No, that would be under. That would be. There's no pocket watches.
What? Okay. No. I'm pretty sure FanDuel's probably has that at least plus 150. That there's a pocket watch floating around in there somewhere.
Let's bring him back.
Actually, there's times that you ever put on a jacket and there's something in your pocket. You're like, oh, this is from. Yeah.
Yeah, this is from the last trade show I went to 4 months ago.
Exactly.
Like, oh yeah,
Exactly.
how about that?
Oh my God, it's an iPhone charger. I didn't even know that I had.
iPhone, what's that?
Exactly.
All right, why do I feel like it's that scene in Ghostbusters when Bill Murray's like, guys, you're scaring the straights. Okay, so I promise we're going to talk about things that are relevant to the conversation. So that being said, Paul, we are fully in the dog days of summer, which is sadly also traditionally the doldrums for our industry. For you,
Yep.
given the different spaces you occupy as founder, as CEO, as security guy, security industry gadfly man about town, what's on your mind? You know, we got a month to kill between RSA and Black Hat. What are you doing?
Yeah, well, I don't think, I think, traditionally years before, I think you're absolutely right. I think the summertime was quiet and everything was right. And, mostly in sales, it's hard to nail people down. But from a security or a cybersecurity play, I don't see us slowing down for this year. I think with the way that things are going globally and between wars and, cyber threats and nation state ramping up, I could tell you that the folks over in these where these bad actors are from are not planning their trip to Disney World, right? They're digging in, and so I think in cybersecurity, I think that we're gonna, at least for the rest of 22, and then I believe it's going to be into 23. Things will stay busy and things will stay active, and some people could say it's exciting, and some people could say it's even scary. I lean on the exciting side.
Well, hey, Paul, you talk about, you just referenced Disney. Let's talk about, Orlando is actually one of them. I was just reading a list as of recent. I think it was the top 20 biggest hubs for technology, specifically startups.
Yeah.
And, I'm here in Southern Cal, and, you think of right north of me, Silicon Valley. It's always been known as the place, but not so much anymore, right? You actually live in one of the new hubs. Talk to us about what you think is prompting the transition of innovation and development beyond Silicon Valley.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for even bringing that up. I think it's a big topic. I really, really do. I think it needs to be noted and sort of discussed more. It's happening, but no one's really talking about it other than like, oh, this is the next city, or this is the other city, or the Queen City. When I rewind back, most people don't know, but I didn't start out in technology. I didn't come out in the background computer science. I came through the whole mechanical engineering route and built a lot of industrial factories and manufacturing. And then when I made the transition to technology, the only place to go was to the Bay Area. I was a South Florida guy. And if you were going to immerse yourself or have any sort of validity or have any sort of gravitas, you had to be in the Bay Area. It was very much viewed as, if you were in the Bay Area, well, you had this wisdom, your IQ went up by 50 points at least, if not more.
Yeah, and just by your area code or your zip code, that added like 15 points to your IQ.
Right, yeah. Right off the bat.
So did your home value.
Exactly. Well, and everything else, but you did get weather. You did get phenomenal weather. As much as I love Florida weather, California weather cannot be topped. That is something special. But to be considered to be someone that was innovative and you had and cutting edge, you had to develop it within the borders of Silicon Valley. And I use that because the borders, it's not just downtown San Francisco, it's Palo Alto, it's even in the East Bay, it's all over there. I think, and I'm very happy to say that, I'm very happy to see it. It's moved, right? It's now, and I don't know, I think COVID's pushed that a lot. I think finding talent absolutely has pushed that. And, not having everyone inside the nest, and with tools like Slack, Jira, Confluence, to be able to develop technology domestically as well as all over the world has become a lot easier. And the interconnectivity, between teams works fine. Now, I do think there is a value to inside sales being sort of in the nest and have like a bullpen. But
I love you, Paul. Paul, you just said that. I did not pay Paul to say that. I love you.
Wait, did you just ask EP out? Like, I feel like that was just specifically planted.
Say it one more time with my earmuffs off.
Yeah, I absolutely do. I think inside sales and a degree of marketing. Does your entire marketing team need to be in the nest? No. but a good part of the marketing team needs to be in the nest, because it's a relationship between really inside sales and marketing, right? And SDR, BDR, SMB sales might be out of the nest. That camaraderie, competition. Put a combine board up and track who's made the most calls, the most leads, the most opportunities, next steps, closed one, right? Or it's a valid point. But
Paul,
going back to
Paul, are you seeing a trend, Matt? This is for both of you guys. Are you seeing a trend, people going back to an office? I was on a call yesterday, and head of sales, he's building for everyone to come. He's not pulling an Elon Musk, but he's saying, hey, this is what we want to see. And you know what? I get it. There's a lot of people out there. Zoom, hey, good for you. But there's a lot of people out there going, I want to get back to like what we're doing right now. It's great we're doing this, but we're not in the same room. And Matt, we love going to shows because we're hanging out. I mean, literally hanging out, right? So, Paul, what are your thoughts on that?
Energy. I think an inside sales team runs on energy, runs on passion, grit, purpose, and that stuff you really can't feel, right? I mean, you have to, first of all, if you're moving away from technology and into sales, and I mean, I can go back and forth, but just getting back into sales mode, right? A good salesperson can wake up every day with energy and passion. If your sales individual needs to be like fueled with passion, they probably need to find another job, right? Or go into like renewals. So you're in the sales org, but you're not a hunter. So I think things will go back to the nest from sales, but from a technology perspective, developing technology and ideating, or even bug squashing or refactoring. These are important to get engineering teams together inside of a room. It's magical. I'll tell you that, we worked largely distributed and all the technologies that I've been part of developing, and it's great. But when you get the team together, oh my goodness, your steps are much wider. You're walking miles and not feeling it. So I just think, some things I'm not, I don't know all the details about. I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist.
Right. Well, no, but you can play one on the radio. I mean, that's what we're here for.
Together is a great thing.
We've established that everything you say is etched in stone, tattooed on your arm, tablets coming from down the mountain. So we're good. But at the end of this, Paul will have solved all of our problems. No, one thing I think is it's interesting about that question. I'm part of a Slack channel. It's a cybersecurity marketing thing. I'm sorry that I can't remember their name. The Cybersecurity Marketing Society. Shout out, because it's awesome. But someone asked a really interesting question earlier this week about the value of doing live stream things as opposed to, quote, well-produced video. And that was my response. Is like, doing one monthly well-produced video is hard. Doing 4 live streams a month is harder. But I think that there's a value to that. So it's and they're bringing this back around to the point of getting people in the room together. EP, when you and I were at Silence, I'm in Florida, you're in Southern California, and I would see you once a month. But the value of that week in those rooms together was huge. But then you also get the chance to step away. And it's like, I don't think we have to do one or the other. The people that are figuring this out, it's like, okay, let's hire hardcore in Austin, in Kansas City, in Chicago, but then bring in the people that live around the world to pour some hot sauce on that thing 3 days out of the month. Because the rest of the time, I mean, we're all sitting in our offices and doing the same things that we would be doing if we were in the building or if we're at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Paul, I don't know how you feel about it, but for me, and Matt, we were just doing this last night on the phone. We're prepping for Black Hat. It's 4 weeks down the street. But what did I say to you, Matt? Hey, we got to make sure that every part of our calendar is filled with who we're talking to, what we're doing. So I think the answer is you get value out of doing both. I think you have to do a virtual once a day or every other day, and it could be a 15-minute huddle. It could be an all hands. but not too many of them. But then when you finally do get together and you've got the core of your business, and by the way, it could just be the marketing team getting together. It could be the sales team getting together. It could be the HR finance team getting together. When you do, make sure you're using the most out of the time to get the most value out of it. So everybody feels like, hey, there was no like gaps in there. This was great. I got the most I could in a short amount of time. Paul, what are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. I think it's it's an augmented model. I think, or a hybrid, without a doubt. I don't think you need constant, but if you look at this, the tools today, even like if you see with COVID specifically, education, right? Who would have thought you could educate people virtually, right? Especially like K through 12. How do you do that, right? I mean, oh my God. But we figured it out, right? And I'm not saying, it helped with, social interaction and social development. I think that slipped, but we were able to educate people digitally, virtually, right? So I think that we've gotten better, and technology obviously has helped with all of that. But I do think it's a hybrid model.
All right, this is where you're going to hear literally the hard click of, and now moving on to the next one. Yeah, I mean, you could feel it, like somebody just flipped it. Your teacher just walks like, we're not doing this anymore. All right, Paul. One of the things that we talked about coming into this show, it's what led to the opening quotes about artificial intelligence. Sorry for that horrible lip smack right there. That was terrible. My apologies. But you had a really good quote where you said, we need cybersecurity vendors to have more intelligence than a Roomba. Now, I'm a Dyson man myself, but to each their own. But in the context of that quote, are you talking about artificial intelligence as an implement that we are using, or the intelligence that security companies need to be applying to what they do, or option C, anything other than those two things? You have 90 seconds. Fix the world.
Okay. I'm going to say this in a couple of ways, right? So as a security practitioner and someone that lives cyber security, right? When TikTok has more AI than some cybersecurity products that are protecting our nation's most sensitive information, that's a problem, right?
Don't get me started on TikTok.
TikTok's got more AI on what you're going to watch and when you're going to watch it and how many times you're going to watch it by every other minutia point that they're collecting and running it through a very, very advanced AI model. I think if you look at cyber and you look at the vendors that are out there now, right? We've mastered the whole event streaming through things like Kafka, Kinesis, Pulsar, and the data warehousing, so we can access it and query it. Like Databricks and Snowflake. I mean, they're phenomenal tools. I mean, these tools are incredible to have in your arsenal. And what we need to do now is we need to do a better job at making things more preventative than reactive. I think with that data and the fact that you could query that data as quickly as you can, and the amount of data that we have now, we understand our user. We understand what's good and bad. I think in the beginning, we're sort of figuring that out. How does our user look? How does our third-party vendor look? How does the person accessing our data look? Or the thing, or the automation, or the bot. I mean, it might be automation and it's perfectly fine. I mean, there are good bots. It's not like they're all bad. I think we understand that now. And
shout out to Microsoft's Tay from a few years back, who immediately became a racist Nazi. But outside of her, I feel like, yeah, we're doing pretty well.
Yeah, I think we need to do a better job now is to look at that data, do things in a much more proactive and preventative way, not a reactive way. I think it's very, very doable. I think AI is there, but I also think it needs to be augmented with humans. And I'll give the best example on that. Even driverless cars. I have a car that I purchased a little while ago that it self-drives, and it's phenomenal, right? Now, self-driving cars didn't happen yesterday. What they had connected cars, and connected cars were exactly what I believe we've been doing in cyber, which was they were connected cars, but you didn't know they were even connected. And the individuals that own those cars really didn't get much benefit other than the fact that it had Wi-Fi everywhere, and you could join, a virtual meeting from your car. But what it was doing was it was collecting driving habits. It was understanding the users, understanding the operators, understanding how fast you drive. And now they've taken that data, analyzed it, and made driverless cars. But it takes human intervention. Like every once in a while, my car beeps and it vibrates and it says, "Hey, touch the wheel," right? So we're not 100% there. We're on our way there.
And Paul has to get out of the back seat and go, "Oh gosh, I have to touch the wheel. I've been in this back seat too long."
Wake
Paul,
up.
Hang on. There's a great thing here. I think a lot of companies have the technology. They own technology.
They have the data.
But have they gone far enough to understand the data analytics and learn from it where they can save money and where they need to spend money, and how they need to be more preventative rather than being more reactive based, like you just said. I love that. And I think the analogy when you said that you have a driverless car, the first thing I was going to ask you is, are you actually using it? Do you actually get in your car and push the button and say, "Take me to the store," and you don't touch anything? Probably not. Probably kind of going through the neighborhood, seeing kids jumping out and going, "Yeah, I should probably keep my hands on the wheel."
Yeah.
Right. Same thing with people with their businesses. "Hey, we've got layer upon layer. Oh, we already have that. Yeah, but are you using it? And maybe some companies don't even use the tech, Paul. And I know you're developing something right now. Companies sometimes don't use it because they just don't know. They don't know how, or they're scared that they have to go hire somebody that can actually manage what you've just created. So as far as like innovating data analytics and making it have some automation and easier for people to use, so you can have a true hybrid. Is that what you're all about? Is that kind of where you're going with this?
Well, detect and respond and scoring right now, it's marginal, right? It's totally just agree. Not enough.
Totally agree.
What we're building is definitely going to have a very strong AI element, tremendous amount of intelligence in it, and do things in a very, very preemptive and preventative way. But it's all a matter of context too, right? I think context needs to be added in there, and I think it's a global effort when it comes to context. You need to provide the context to the enterprise, and we sell to the enterprise. So it could be to anybody, but it could be to the government or something like that. The context, you need the context in order so they can build in process, so they can do attribution, right? I think attribution's way underdone now. And do you call the specific? There's no jail for it, right? And we haven't been able to hold anybody really, really accountable for doing things, maliciously. We sort of react to it. We build safeguards around it. Well, we react to it. We stop the bleeding, right? We're making sure that we shore everything up, and then we have a plan to sort of put process in. Well, if you do things in a very preemptive way, and you detect things before they happen based upon data, and then you supply the context around who that adversary is, you're able to do some attribution. That would be huge. And as far as the attribution goes, I think it's a definite global effort. I think we need our EU allies. We are our digital transformation boom is global digital transformation boom. We're pulling data from all over the world. We're accessing data from all over the world. And you may be a company that's using a third party thinking that, well, that's a domestic company and my data is here. And, but that third party is accessing data near shore or not near shore. So you need to, context is a major part of this. Understanding what that adversary is, where that adversary is, what that adversary was trying to do, and hopefully sometime down the line, there's enough context that we do attribution.
You can feel when Paul's actually running out of oxygen there as his voice gets a little lower. There's a little bit of longer pause between the nouns and the verbs. He's like, do I have to, is anybody going to ask me a question? Should I just keep talking?
Oxygen.
Yeah. Deep breaths, dude. You just carried like 5 minutes of a segment by yourself, and you're the guest, and you're not being paid for this. So that
I get off on a tangent. I apologize.
Oh, please. Are you kidding me? That's why we had you on the show.
I'm sorry for my long verbal vomit.
Yeah,
No,
I
man.
could have
Hey.
just said like, "Hey, I'm Matt. That's EP. This is Paul. Go." And then in 58 minutes, be like shameless plugs, and we're out.
Paul, it's why you're here.
Yeah,
Doing
Roger
great.
that.
thank you,
Love it.
thank you for
Thank
your
you, Tyler.
service, and by that I mean to this particular podcast covering 48 minutes of content. So you mentioned a couple of things. Here it is. My favorite cliche. Lots to unpack there. Let's talk about 4 minutes ago. You talked about moving from a place of response to prevention. And I feel like we were going in that direction. Obviously, EP and I have a soft spot for that from our time at Silence, but we got to give shouts out. I'm not sure what the proper grammar is on that, so we're gonna go with both.
Spray shouts.
Yeah, there you go. But, CrowdStrike was doing some interesting stuff. SentinelOne has done some interesting stuff, and there's a lot of other people that you may or may not recognize. But it felt like there was a really strong move towards prevention, and then a marketing term took over, detect and respond. And when all of these companies are pitching this really hardcore FU prevention, not protection message that people seem to be buying, but then detect and respond came in and market corrected that. In your opinion, like, why did that happen? We're trying to say don't get beat as opposed to find where you got beat and react to it. I thought like we were doing so well as an industry saying stop getting beat first. And then that lasted about 2 years. And now everything since then has been like, well, you're going to get beat, so this is how you respond. No pressure on you.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think what Stu and that team, including everyone on this call and other really good friends of mine. Obviously, I was not part of Silence, but what they did for the AV space was tremendous. Their approach, their vision, the execution was phenomenal.
Well, and I'm not trying to say specifically for Silence. It felt like there was an industry idea. There was a zeitgeist of how about if we don't get beat first, and then we can start working on things after we've not gotten beat.
Yeah, like a major transition. We felt like, I think that what companies like Silence and CrowdStrike did is they made the whole endpoint part of cyber just make a major shift. Like, hey, we're not going to do the signature anymore. We're going over here, and it kind of like worked. It was a fantastic idea.
Yeah, they were identifying execution. Yeah, something that would inject itself or possibly execute. Got away from signatures, right? Signatures are detect and respond all day long. Somebody's got to fall prey, and then you update an actual signature.
Well, let's get back, Paul. Talk about the steak and the sizzle that Matt was throwing up there on the table at the beginning of the show today. I want
to keep it on the idea though.
Okay.
The stake was that let's stop reacting to things.
Right.
We've got this incredible new technology that can help us prevent things, but then it just feels like, I don't know if we didn't explain it well enough as an industry, but then it became let's react and respond. And we were doing really well about how about if the bomb doesn't hit first, as opposed to dealing with the collateral damage of the bomb. And that's why, Paul, I'm curious on your thoughts, because you've been in a lot of different parts of this world. Yeah. You're not a huge fan of VDR. No offense to anybody who is. That's not what we're saying. But it's like, what if we don't have to respond?
Right.
What if we did something better up front so we don't have to respond?
Yes.
Well, let me, this is the way I sort of look at that, right? So the speed of the digital transformation to make the experience better, or to make applications run. I mean, to be honest with you, a lot of applications were getting deprecated, right? Or you needed to upgrade the applications were getting heavier. I mean, if you look at devices, even personal devices today, even your cell phone, the compute power that's in there to run these applications is tremendous. So to move things to the cloud, and the speed, and then the agility of it, and then the access to it and the experience has moved very, very fast. It's no different than in going back to cars, right? When we were, developing cars, we were making them faster, handle better, quieter, more luxurious. But yet your children were in the car, but you weren't talking about building safety in first. It wasn't like your priority wasn't safety. Your priority was people were buying cars because they were getting faster. I mean, you look at cars from the 60s and the 70s, right? So We sort of got some vendors like Silence and the CrowdStrikes and the Sentinel ones did very, very well on the AV space. But I think all around, I think that people are playing catch up. Now, AV, and I'm not saying was easy, it's very, very hard, but AV was taking something that's very, very legacy, running on the device and things like that. When you look at cybersecurity threats or the global threats today, especially through web applications and AppSec, APIs, it's a different world. We needed the data, we needed to understand, we needed to build those pipeline streams, access the data, aggregate them, query them, and now we need to add intelligence. But I will tell you, I'm incredibly optimistic. I don't want to. I'm not the type of cyber person that leans towards the negative. Not at all. I mean, not even in a little bit. I think I believe in people. I believe in the purpose of why companies are here, why the CEO started them, why that team started them, and I'm very, very, very much optimistic on the outlook of cybersecurity and us getting in front of the adversaries.
I like the kaleidoscope that you're looking through, Paul. It's a good lens. Hey, let's pivot off.
He said it. Whenever you can work the title into the show, that's the best part.
Boom. Paul, pivot from the endpoint, and let's travel to a place up beyond where you've actually been hanging out, the cloud. We're talking about AI. We're talking about EDR. Let me just throw a little blockchain in there. Like what's next for the steak and the sizzle? This is what I was trying to get to. What do we have enough? Have we matured enough with the combination of, the next gen with the blockchain, with the AI that we've had for the last 10 years and with EDR the last, whatever it's been, 5-7 years? What's next? Do we have enough for the cloud that has matured for cyber to have that vision that you have to give you the nice, warm, safe butterflies in your belly, Paul?
This is why we need the sound effect where we could be like hard segue, like the one that I just did. Now moving on to the next thing.
Yes.
Well, I think it's definitely kaleidoscope, right? Everyone's looking through different colors, but I also think it's aperture, right? It's your width, it's your vision, right? It's how wide. So I think we're learning the appreciation for everyone's kaleidoscope. I really honestly believe that, and I think few people have very wide aperture. I'm extremely bullish that we'll wind up getting there. To answer your point, I think we do have what we need today. I just think it came up upon us quick, right? And I think that any team could get beaten at any time, right? I mean, the best teams could get beaten by the worst team on any given night, right? And I think that we came to cyber thinking that we were the best team, like we were the dream team. We could go overseas and go in the Olympics and beat anybody. We don't even need to practice. But I think that we sort of lost a couple of games and we got knocked around a little bit. And I think we're sort of being more strategic and smarter and going back and looking at game film and looking at our opponents and putting together a game plan.
Dude, what was it? What the U.S. men's team that lost that led to the dream team, and then a few Olympics later, it's like suddenly that team got the bronze medal. It's like, oh shit, maybe we're not as good at this as we thought we were, or maybe everybody else has gotten a whole lot better because we were good at this, and then we got fat thinking about how good we are at this.
Was that when Barkley, Magic, and Jordan came out?
That was the response to.
Yeah.
But even if you look at boxing, right? Mayweather fights are, people say, hey man, that's the most boring fight I've ever watched, right?
Right.
But what is he doing? He knows his opponent really well. Like he studies his opponent really, really well. And what does he do? He's preventative. He knows where they're going to throw, and then he ducks and he dives, right? So he's used that data.
I hate to give you that one. That's such a great comp. You're right.
It is good. It is good.
The greatest quote in boxing history, maybe after I'm king of the world, top 3 quotes ever that can be applied to cybersecurity is Mike Tyson. Yeah. Everybody's got to play until they get hit in the face.
That's true.
And that's Mayweather's entire thing is you're never going to
get hit.
In the face.
Why get hit?
Yeah. Doesn't mean that the
getting
fight's
hit.
fun to watch. Doesn't mean that he doesn't make $50 million per fight.
Paul,
Yes, sir.
you get your choice to have ringside for one fight.
Yeah.
Oh,
Is
there we go.
it 12 rounds watching Mayweather go to a decision, or is it one round watching Tyson go to work?
Can I add a third? Can I add a third? Can I add a third?
Yeah, go ahead.
As long as it's not
Bruce
Rocky.
Lee versus Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in Fist of Fury.
Woo!
Get that.
And you know why I love that? Because Matt looks like he's wearing a gi today. Doesn't he
Oh,
look like
my
a
God.
gi?
Yeah. Today's outfit brought to you by Patrick Swayze and
Except for he doesn't have a black belt. He has a Gucci belt on today. That's awesome.
God, it's hilarious. Yeah, but for me, I mean, the explosiveness of Mike Tyson is just it's awesome, right? I mean, it's just amazing. Still.
All right, so I promise this. My job as the chief allegory officer is to steer this back on track so that security people still want to listen instead of us just talking about movies and boxing.
Sure.
Back to Edward's original question, though, about steak and the sizzle, from what we've seen, and I've asked this over the last couple of episodes, as things have evolved, who's delivering? Like, I feel like the cloud now has really nestled in, I'm not saying my parents understand the cloud, but my parents' friends understand the cloud.
Yeah.
When we look back at the last couple of waves of things that we've seen that really impact security. EP is a big Web3 guy. He is all in on blockchain and NFTs and that sort of thing. I don't know I understand it well enough that I could explain it to somebody, because they're going to be like, oh, you mean Bitcoin? I'm like, kind of.
Wait till next week.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, shameless plug. Stick around for pm73 media with EP. Who's delivering in a way that matters? And you don't have to name companies unless you want to, but what technology is actually doing what we told people they were going to do?
Yeah.
No pressure.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be easier for me to name a company. No plug. It wasn't even intending to do one, but Rob Davis and team over Critical Start with their XDR. Rob's a brilliant guy, and nuclear submariner, and I'm probably saying that really wrong. Sorry, Rob. But what they've developed over there, I think they've developed an awesome amount of intelligence. But if you go back to it, right, it's the aggregation of data, right? They've done a really good job at aggregating the data, and then they've done a really good job at analyzing it. And then the results that are provided to their enterprise and their consumers are rich, and it's not alert fatigue. They're only notifying them on things that are threats or potentially or are vulnerable, and they have action. So they're ultimately taking action. And then they're doing after action reports, and they're doing updates on things that you want to be made aware of, but incidents, but we're just kids knocking on your door and at 2 a.m. and running. I mean, you want to know about that. That's sort of anomalous, but don't ring every bell and flash every light because of that. Right. Just let me know.
Well, there's too many.
That's
there's too many false positives first and foremost, and
it could be Michael Myers waiting outside when he's ding dong ditch as well. So
yeah, and I think you're hitting it right on the head on that one. Great call out for the boys at Critical. It was actually one of the very first early MSSPs that I was pushing a lot of business to when I was building out the SMB and the MSSP teams. I actually
consider this a backdoor pilot invitation to come on the show. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah. I have no plans to pitch Rob, but it's not hard to do.
yeah, and I mean, shameless plug. Actually, not shameless, proud plug.
It is.
I just made a little announcement yesterday on that thing called LinkedIn.
We were going to get to that. Oh, I was going to cue you up for this.
It's all good. This is great timing. Trust me. So I just want to throw a shout out to everybody that I've spent the last 6 weeks talking to. There's been a lot of people in my network. EP, you got to go talk to this person. I've talked to niche companies, like they're doing something in the IoT space or in the cloud. I've talked to a lot of different companies, but like I said, Matt, we talked about it at RSA, kind of like some caught my eye. Some were like, well, how are you different from them? And I didn't have enough that were standing out. So I said, I'm going to just I'm going to go finish what I'm trying to do, which is to go do what Paul just said, which is go above and beyond. Hey, it's one thing detecting and reacting, but you got to like remediate. You got to fix these problems because, again, technology, companies own the tech. They don't have enough people and they don't have the resources or a built-in process, right? Something I was a big advocate of at my last gig. I'm taking that whole thing because I really am a huge believer. And so the company that I've hung my title with officially is Silver Sky. Silver Sky, everyone's like, huh? Who? They've been around for a while. And guess what? They already have the base foundation. And Paul, you said it earlier, data analytics. They have the AI data analytics. They're pushing the envelope to provide the automation because humans can't stay on top of it. And so if you have that combination, the hybrid of the automation plus the human element of being able to watch and react and remediate problems that are discovered, that's the hygiene. This is what companies need to give themselves a better chance to be Batman, to beat Jack Nicklaus, the Joker that's coming at them every friggin' day. Follow me on that?
Important things here. One, Jack Nicklaus won 14 majors in golf tournaments. Jack Nicholson played the Joker. But I would be very curious to revisit
the potato.
If Tim Burton,
oh my God,
if Tim Burton, Michael Keaton, and Jack Nicklaus wanted to get together for a movie, I think I'd be in for that.
If my dad is listening to this, and I doubt that he is, he'd be laughing his butt off because I've been doing that mishap for years.
Not only
because he's the one that inspired me to watch The Bear when I was a young kid. So
not only should your dad be listening, he should also be liking, rating, reviewing, and sharing it with everybody. So there's that as well. The second point.
I mean, just to jump in on what Edward said, and I love that you said data-driven decisions are the way to go. I mean, we do that in everyday life. I mean, Amazon is successful, or online or e-commerce is successful not because it's a virtual shopping mall. It's because you look at reviews. So you're buying on data. Right, you're analyzing and looking at, and you try to find some similarities to what they're using it for, to what you're using it for. You're buying a vacuum. They have pets. You have pets. You have a German Shepherd. They have a German Shepherd. It works for them. Might be all right for me. So it's a data-driven society. So when you're looking at cyber threats, it's you want to make decisions based upon data.
Well, and shout out to Silver Sky. P.S. No free ads. So congratulations on that. And yes, while that was definitely a proud plug, it was an utterly shameless plug. And we look forward to the sponsorship that Silver Sky will be providing to the PM73 Media on LinkedIn Live.
Marketing team.
Yes.
All right. EP, you got some questions for Paul about startup life.
Yeah, startup life, man. I love Paul. We've talked before this show just kind of about our experiences in the startup life. And Paul, I'm a huge market timing guy. And I know like where you're at right now. I have strong knowledge of market timing skills, but more or less on quantitative analysis, how I trade markets, specifically commodities. But as you're looking right now, thinking about the right time to bring out your new product, your new service, your new solution, coming out of stealth mode, you've got to take a lot of things in consideration right now. Are you thinking, oh, well, hey, Black Hat's the next security show. That's where I've got to do it. Or are you thinking, well, the economy is a little shaky right now. Maybe I wait until, after Labor Day, October. Man, we're getting too late. It's almost the end of the year. Or you're just kind of saying, I'll wait till Q1 and I don't need to rush this. But where's your head at right now in terms of the timing? And it doesn't have to just be you, Paul, but anybody that's in that mode where they've been building and they're thinking, hey, it's time to come out and get beyond the whisper, but do like a little bit of a soft launch. Is it now or is it 23?
I appreciate that question. I think the timing for that question is outstanding. And because I think there's been a lot of marketecture. I think there's been a lot of marketecture. I think there's incredible valuations with unbelievable amount of raises. And what's been done with that is a huge amount of marketing, like guerrilla marketing, like their coming out party. They're going all sizzle. Like fire hot. Give me as much. I mean, throw more butter on that steak. I need sizzle.
Sour cream, chives, bring it all.
Yeah, but I think when we used to do applications years ago, we used to win win in the conference room. I mean, you used to win on the whiteboard. I think you need to be a technology company. You can't be lazy to market. If you're looking for perfect, that's not good. But it does need to have purpose, and it needs to scale. So when you've mastered the fact that what you're deploying and what you're providing has purpose, and that could be done through ROI, has value. People are getting something real tangible value out of it, and that it implements and it operationalizes at scale, at enterprise scale, and you're able to do that in multiple types of environments, not just in the one or two environments that you got, or the dirty dozen that you were able to deploy to, that you had all hands on deck and every engineer making every tweak and turn and script to make your stuff work. And now you went and raised, $100 million, and now it's marketecture. To everything as far as your back end goes, you need to make sure that your back end scales, or at least have a plan for it, because you don't want to come out. I mean, web services, AWS or whatever you're running on, extremely expensive, especially when you're analyzing data. So you don't want to go really big and have an environment that costs you a fortune. But I think you sort of need to have today. I think enterprises are looking for technology that provides really good outcomes, has a lot of intelligence, and it supplies enough context, and it doesn't give you alert fatigue, and it makes your life easier, and it makes your environment more secure.
So go the opposite way. The opposite of scale is fail.
Yep.
And 72% of startups, Paul, fail between years 2 and 5.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of it has to deal with leadership. I think there's sometimes you need to have a gut check, and sometimes, people need to shift in their roles or things like that, I think are a large part of it. The other part is vision. The leadership needs to have a very, very broad vision. Cannot close down the walls. Cannot squeeze the lens down to the thickness of a pencil. You need to be
the
very
kaleidoscope
broad.
wide. The kaleidoscope needs
very, very wide.
Aperture.
Very, very wide. And then it comes down to execution. You need to have a good business plan. You need to know how are you going to grow. What are the steps do you need to take to grow? Who are the individuals that you need to bring on board? So I think those are the things that sort of fail. I think the dirty dozen is great, and we're all looking for that. I tell you right now, I'm looking for it. I mean, you start a company, you want your first early adopters and things like that, but then you really need to sort of take a step back. But on the flip side, a lot of these founders and CEOs, they take on a lot of money, and it's hockey stick growth is what the shareholders are looking for. And I don't begrudge them at all. If I was invested in a company and had that kind of money, I want hockey stick growth.
Right. To quote Emmett, weird bearded farmer from Roadhouse. Yeah, that's my second Roadhouse reference today. Ain't it peculiar how
Great
money
movie.
can do that? Yeah.
Awesome movie.
Ain't it peculiar how money can do that very thing?
I miss Swayze.
Yeah. So we're trying to keep this in line for 60 minutes, which means, EP, you called it. We're not going to get anywhere close to hitting all of the buckets.
Play the over.
Paul,
Yes,
leadership
sir.
corner. The umbrella question is, what do you do when you're not doing this? But let's tighten that up a little bit. Are you reading anything? We talked in the green room, music and your Spotify playlists and guitars and Rush. God, I can't believe 2 weeks in a row talking about Rush.
Judge, I'm on the Dire Straits.
Tell me what's happening inside that beautiful bald dome of yours.
Yeah, always trying to improve myself and be a better person. I think that
it's okay if you watch The Real Housewives. You don't always have to make yourself a better person.
I do watch that. My wife, I have to sometimes turn a blind eye because it brings out the worst in people.
That one too.
Hey, the new Dubai is off the hook, by the way.
I don't know. It brings out the worst in people. Like, it's the worst social experiment I've ever seen. It's like people get so evil. It's just amazing. Someone asked me yesterday, say, what's the, I forgot the question that he asked me, but really bright guy, Evan, and asked me, you know, what is a CEO? What makes a CEO good to great? And I don't think it's the title. I mean, I think it's the leadership qualities. I think being genuine and authentic is huge. Like, you know, I sort of lead by those 3 H's: honesty, humility, and hard work. And I think I think as any leader, you're working on all 3 of those all the time. And you know, honesty to me, I believe, comes pretty easy. Authentic and being genuine, I try to live my life by it. Sometimes drives people nuts. I keep everything kind of flat. And you know, sort of like removing the mask, right? You want to be who you are, and hopefully people love you for it. But so constantly in you know, reading about myself now, leadership development, trying to be a better person, and then keeping up on obviously cyber. You know, I love what the government's doing.
All you want to do is read about how to be a better leader.
Yeah, and just be a better human.
That's the worst. What's on your playlist list right now? Tell me, like, when you're putting your headphones in to go work out or run or do whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, just tell me about rock and roll for a second.
What's on the epic playlist?
That was blast. Yeah, that's really easy to do. So, like I said, for some reason, I watched the other night. It was back in 1993, so it wasn't recent, but it was on one of these like off channels, like in the hundreds. It was this like it was this Fleetwood Mac. Yeah, it was like, you know, it was all the way down. I don't, you know, I was trying to find something in between the Real Housewives shows and all the other, reality shows. I was like, I can't watch another minute of this. Give me something. And like I said, I'm not a TV person. I'm more of a music person. But I wound up on Fleetwood Mac Live, and from 1993.
Nice.
Man, that is just. And I got back into Fleetwood Mac, and so I've been listening to a lot of Fleetwood Mac, a lot of Dire Straits, but not the more commercial stuff. I love musicians. I love like musicians that create real music. I love it. I love instruments, great vocals, huge Robert Plant fan.
Fun facts. I think Dire Straits was the very first music video on MTV.
Probably Money Ain't for Nothing.
Wrong.
Oh, wrong. Damn it.
Okay. What was the first?
Matt?
Seriously?
Matt is a walking encyclopedia of life. What is it? What was
Video
it?
killed a radio star.
Oh,
was that the
video? My God, I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed
Damn.
for you, and I apologize to the audience for that bit of disinformation that came out.
Video killed the. Everyone's going.
Yeah, really. The second was Pat Benatar.
Yeah.
Money for Nothing didn't drop till summer of '85, by the way. So, all right, moving on. I just want to keep you guys from stumbling over each other in this particular thing, but it's okay. I get it. I actually had a really fun conversation with a friend this week where she was saying about when she meets new people, if they're not into new music, like it's like, wow, that's really boring. And it made me realize that I'm not. But what I have been doing is digging back into, kind of to your point, Paul, about listening to not the commercial stuff, but the other stuff. And it's when you go back and dig through your records, dig through your digital files, whatever, and you start listening to side 2, track 8 that you may not have always had on your playlist going up. So like that's, as far as where do you find the inspiration for things like, oh shit, I had no idea that so-and-so sang backup on this and that song. And it's like, wow, that's amazing. And it could open new doors. So anyway, enough about me. All right, we got 7 minutes left.
I do like some pop. We'll listen to some R&B and pop now. Every once in a while, I need to sprinkle that in.
Paul, do you have some black licorice in the room? Do you have vinyl?
No, I don't have vinyl.
You don't have a crate in the garage or like under the bed hidden from the family?
I have CDs that are stacked. I can't even tell you how high.
Wait, you have TV coaster? You have glass coasters?
Oh. I do have glass. I do love people that have vinyl, though. I do love vinyl.
I have vinyl. I don't have a record player. It's embarrassing.
I'm a big audiophile. I like 2-channel audio. I like tube amplifiers. That kind of stuff.
All right, enough. Silence. Edward, what's epic today?
What is epic today?
Believe me, I'm going to yell at you about this too, but please go.
All right. So think of collaboration. We talked about collaboration. I think it was on the last 2 episodes. And Eminem and Snoop Dogg have gotten together and they have created a video. And I just checked it before we started today's show. Over 17 million views on this vid. And what are they doing? They've brought in and done a collaboration on the Ape Yacht Club NFT collection. super cool. You got a couple superstars out there saying, hey, we're in on this. And it's just great because you got to keep the hype. I love the branding. I love the collaboration. And so there's singles called the D2, the LBC. Shout out to Long Beach City. And it's hot. It's hot. It's a debut. It only debuted a week ago, and this thing's flying. So all things epic. You want to go check out something in the music, since we're talking about music, good time with that little NFT little plug right there that's going ape crazy. So check it out, guys. Go to YouTube, punch it in. You'll find it. Just type in Eminem, Snoop Dogg. Oh, by the way, not safe for the family, the kids to watch. Yeah, there's some big things happening that are on fire. I'll leave it at that. If you know Snoop, you know what I'm talking about.
I'm going full Ja Morant on this, and just give me the ball and clear out. Paul, this is my question as a follow-up to EP's comment about this thing, about Bored Ape or whatever this shit is. Who gives a shit?
I can't wait to play this back. I can't wait to play this back in 5 years.
Send it to my mom.
4 years. 4 years.
All we're hearing in the industry right now is about the value of blockchain and NFTs, and this is the biggest story. Is two rappers of a combined age of 100 years old have released a video that has 17 million views, and that's supposed to make us care about NFTs. Paul, help me understand.
Paul, thank God everything didn't stay on those 650 megabyte things that you talked about earlier. Thank God we've moved on. Thank God we have evolved.
I got a CD around here somewhere. We could at least burn this episode.
I can't tell you how many. And a lot of my CDs are country music because I had hair once and a cowboy hat, but that's I still own boots. I still own boots. Yeah, I don't have the hat anymore. Yeah, I know. Are you more shocked about the hair or the hat?
All of it. All of it.
Me too. You know, blockchain NFTs. It's a technology. And
it's okay for you to say that it's crap. I'm not going to be offended.
No, he ain't. He won't say that.
I won't say that. But it needs to be. I think it has a purpose, and I think it has an absolute use. But it's a technology. It's like a language. You know, you don't just say you have blockchain to say you have blockchain. I mean, use it for what it's good for. Use it for to strengthen something.
Exactly.
Use it to for access, to strengthen handshakes. Blockchain's great. NFTs are great. You just have to apply that technology for something that's got purpose and meaning, not just
not just two Grammy Award winning rappers from the mid 90s to
it's just like story. I don't know. I mean, to pay whatever thousands of dollars for an NFT is purposeless.
I put you on the spot on that one, and we are coming up to a close. So real quick, give some shout outs, shameless plugs. Paul, what are you up to? Where can people find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn as Paul Storm, Twitter as Paul Storm, and that's where I am right now.
Follow him, people. There is a storm a brewing, and I got a little sneak peek on it, and it's exciting. So definitely, the forecast is bright for the Paul Storm.
Not only does he look like a Marvel villain, his name is Paul Storm. I mean, what more did you ask for?
I just I see him picking up a chair and just hawking it, and or just blasting out of his window.
While solving pi and doing the Pythagorean theorem at the same time. He's got that thing. EP, what about you? What's going on? Where can people find you?
Everything Epic starts with EP. Epic starts with EP. You got the new having a lot of fun out of the gate. Going to be putting Silver Sky up on the deck and helping them promote the brand and bringing lots of new business in the spaces where I run. And so, anything on LinkedIn, got the show in production. Epic starts with EP, and of course, having lots of fun with my villain friend here, Mr. Matt Stevenson. So come back every Friday to catch us here.
I don't mind being that. You live long enough to become, what was the line from Batman? You die a hero or live long enough to be the villain. I'm not quite sure which one I want between the two of those, but I'll pick one or the other. We're still figuring this thing out, but here's what I promise. It's going to be loud. It's going to be rowdy. It's going to be fun, but you're going to walk away having learned some things and being pointed in the right direction. This is why I want to point you to everything that Paul Storm is doing. He's actually listed as Paul B. Storm on LinkedIn. Also, Edward Preston. Everything EP is up to is awesome. I look forward to all of the sponsorship dollars that we will get from Silver Sky now that he's named them 3 times on the show.
Gotta get something.
Silver Sky. 5.
Yeah, well, 5. All right, now we're going to start charging per reference. But that's it for today. We are rolling into an American holiday weekend. Shouts out. I'm going with shouts out because I feel that that's appropriate. To the rest of our international audience, I'm sorry that you don't have Monday off. It'd be cooler if you did. But that's it for today for PM73 Media on LinkedIn Live. You know, you can always find us right here, also on Twitter at PM73 Media. EP, one more time. They find you on Twitter where?
Epic starts with EP. And hey, everybody, happy 4th of July.
There we go. Even though today's
Thank you, everyone.
Paul,
Put
be
up your
quiet. We'll
singles.
get to you in a minute. Come on now. Also, find everything that we've been doing here on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Instagram. My name is Matt Stevenson. You can find me at PacMatt73. That's across all of the same things, too. We also do kind of a fun podcast. Sometimes we actually rip these episodes onto the audio. So we got all kinds of cool shit going on. All we ask is you just, wow, did I really just blow that on live? We made it 61 minutes, and I finally stepped on a word. All we ask is you subscribe, rate, and review. Yeah, that's it. Holiday weekend. I'm going to go crack a beer and throw some dogs on the grill. We will see y'all next time. You guys don't swear. Actually, you can swear because we do this. But when I hit end stream, it takes a couple of seconds. So at least don't, like, flip the crowd